Okay, here is the quick start menu. This is the welcome screen, and this is what you will be seeing pretty much every time you open up GarageBand. First, you've got your new projects where you've got some presets here that get you into GarageBand quickly and recording, and it's set up for however you like to write music. It'll set up the tracks and the presets right off the bat for you, make it nice and quick. If you play piano, you're going to use the pianos inside of GarageBand. You click piano, electric guitar, voice, loop, so on. You get it. It's pretty straightforward. You got Learn to Play, which we're not going to get into. Lesson Store, which we're not going to get into. Magic GarageBand, which we're not going to get into. And iPhone ringtone, which we're not going to get into. Because like I said earlier, this tutorial is primarily about writing and mixing in GarageBand. Everything else that GarageBand does, we're not going to touch on. They're pretty straightforward things anyway. You can figure those out very easily, very quickly. And also, you got recent projects down here. If I had any recent projects that I've done, then they would be showing here. So we're going to get right into it. Click piano, because that's what I play, and hit choose. Next, you've got a window about naming your project and getting the outline for it. I'm not really sure how many people name a song before they get into it, but perhaps you're importing some music, you're doing something else, and you know the name of it. You can type it in here, adjust the tempo with the slider, and always also type in the tempo, double click, and time signature, key, major and minor, very straightforward stuff. Put this back to 120, click create. So first, let's make this window bigger. Here. All right, first what you got here is, as you can see, because I clicked piano, it started me out with a MIDI piano. I can play. Very nice. See, already started. Don't have to get into it, figure out what sounds I want. It already gave me one. So that's great. On this side of the window is where all your tracks will be displayed. As you can see, grand pianos here, and the rest of your tracks will be displayed on this side with a pan knob, a volume slider. You've got another little button here for your automation, which we'll be covering later, a solo track and mute track. Next, here is the arrange window, and the content for your songs will be displayed here in rows that line up with your tracks. We have the playhead, it's on top, and the playhead allows us to scrub through the music, and wherever the playhead is, once we click play, that's where it will begin playing from. So, a very quick way to jump around your song. Over here to the right, we have our instrument window. And in the instrument window, if your browse tab, below that is where you can adjust the sound of the instrument that you're playing, your software instrument. So right now we have piano, but if we want it maybe an organ, we click here to organ and choose perhaps jazz organ. And now we've got jazz organ. Great. Very simple, very easy, very fast. Next tab is the edit tab, and on this edit tab you have yet another place where you can adjust your sound. If you wanted to go back to piano, you can go back to piano, click on the presets underneath, go back to garage or grand piano, and now you're back to grand piano. Very quick, very easy. Underneath that, you have your effects or your insert window, where you adjust or add the effects that you need. The first effect is always compressor. It will not let you change it for whatever reason. However, the next 4 effects underneath are completely changeable, and you can change it to whatever effect suits you. You may have seen I have some other audio unit effects here, which I wouldn't. These are third-party plugins that I installed myself. Perhaps you installed some yourself. If not, it's fine. I will be only using the GarageBand effects, and you should have all of these in this top section right here. So you're not missing out on anything. You don't need to buy anything else. Also, at the end here, it always ends with the EQ. You can't change that one either. And then you have your master echo and your master reverb. So, and those are unchangeable for the most part. I'll get into what I mean by that in just a little bit. But what they do is, if you've got your very funky sounding grand piano, you can turn up the echo. And there you go. And it goes the same for reverb. But those are master effects. They all blend in together with other tracks that you adjust on the master effect. You'll see later. That's more into mixing, and we're going to be doing that in another tutorial. Next, however, still talking about those master effects, here is where you can somewhat change them. Again, they are for the most part unchangeable, like the compressor and the EQ on the other track. You can make some slight adjustments here by clicking on their picture. Also, they have some presets that you can use at your disposal. Let's go back to default. Same with reverb, works the exact same way. And these will affect all the tracks that are mixed into them. So, again, I'll get into that. You can also add one of your own plugins. If you would like, just click on it. Perhaps you want to auto-wah on everything. Well, there you go. You can do it. Wonderful. Next, we have our transport bar. This is down here at the bottom. And if we start to the far left, we have a create new track button. So if we click on that, it will bring up this window, and it looks familiar with that with the welcome menu, where you choose what it is you want to do. If you're playing piano, you're gonna want to pick piano. If you're playing guitar, then you pick guitar, vocals, whatnot. Also, in this window, you can decide what input you want to be coming in from, and yours options will look different than mine. Mine will look this way because of mainly because of how I'm trying to record this tutorial. I had to use some software that wasn't natively put on to GarageBand. Also, you have the output, and again, your options will be different. And depending upon the audio interface that you settled upon, your options may look different than mine here for exactly which input on your audio interface. Do you want to use the mono 1 or mono 2 or stereo? Use them both. It's up to you. So I'm going to hit cancel right now because I don't want to create a new track. Also, the next button here, down here, is the track editor window. Click on that. It brings up the track editor, and we'll be getting into this window on a later video, because this window completely goes into you writing music and how you adjust your MIDI instruments, and it's a fun window, but it's not for this tutorial. Next is your playhead controller, pretty much, and it works just like any CD player that you've ever used, or tape player, 8-track. You know, I don't know if they ever had these on record players, but Would be kind of cool if they did. Anyway, you've got your back one measure, forward measure. As you see, click, your playhead jumps and moves. Forward one measure or back one measure. Also, you have your play. And the same button also pauses your playback. Record. You have your information window here. It tells you what's going on in your playhead. So you see as I jump from one measure to the next, it changes what measure I'm in. So easy and quick viewing. Also, you have your cycle region on and off. And this controls where your playhead repeats to. So it will start at the beginning of this yellow box. And you can move it just by clicking and dragging. And it will play to the end of the yellow box. And you can adjust its length by clicking on the end of it and dragging. And it will continuously cycle wherever that yellow box is located. Next, you have your metronome button, which will turn the metronome on and off. Wonderful. And then your master volume slider. On the far left, you have a few more options for this window up here. It actually has pane, I guess, and it changes depending upon the options that you select here. Your first option is the loop browser, and this will contain all the loops that you have installed into your computer or loops that you've made yourself, which we will be making our own loops. I'll show you how to do that in a later tutorial as well. It goes back into the info window, which your browse and edit, software instrument, master track, and also your media browser, which has all the media that is in your computer. It says iTunes and GarageBand are your options for getting sound into GarageBand. Photos, you can simply click and drag. If you're doing a podcast, you can drop it where you need to drop it to. Movies works the same way. If you had movies here, perhaps you're doing a podcast, click and drag it, drop it right in. So that's the overview of GarageBand and its user interface. So now that we have all that boring stuff out of the way, we can get right into the next tutorial, get right into writing some music. We can start having some fun, because that's why I did these.